Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. Really appreciate taking time out. In the last 3 to 4 weeks, we have had multiple sessions under Rebounce webinar, telling you guys about a lot of things, be it the necessity and the framework around Plan B, be it about political consulting, the hows and the whys and what's of political consulting and how to get into it. Same thing, but from a public policy perspective, the hows, whys, whats, etc. of public policy, how to get into it, what are some of the things which work in a public policy career, what are some of the things which does not work in a public policy career. Okay. In the same vein, in today's session, we are going to be focusing on LAB Fellowship. It's a very prestigious fellowship offered by PRS Legislative Research. It's a sort of once in a year fellowship. LAMP stands for Legislative Assistants for Members of Parliament, if I got that acronym right. We have been helping people to get into LAMP fellowship for the last 2 years now. And we have had successes in the past in terms of helping people get into it. Along with, helping people in terms of getting into a lot of other fellowships. The content we cover today, we are of the firm belief that if you are able to follow it and if you follow this as part of your application process for LAMP, that might 10x your chances of getting a shortlist and becoming a LAMP fellow. All said and done, there is no doubt it's a prestigious fellowship. It opens up a lot of doors, a lot of further opportunities to make your career in public policy. Hence, because it is important, a session dedicated to this fellowship. Okay? Cool. Before we start, some session etiquettes, participation, expectations, which I always start with. First, very important, as an instructor, I really hate talking to blank screens or, passport size photographs. I like talking to people. So request everyone, very, very strongly encourage, kindly keep your camera switched on. If you have decided to be here, spend some time in this webinar, let's make the most of it, right? You will help me because I don't like talking to blank screens. I like talking to faces. It will help you. Your engagement in the session goes up, right? Don't worry about your background, clothes, eating, drinking, whatever. I'm fine with everything. I just want to see people and not blank faces or blank screens. Okay. Those of you who have done it, thank you so much. Others who have not done it, kindly please do that. It will help you and it really helps me. There are many, many people who have not done it. Guys, strongly encourage. It's a humble request. Kindly please switch on your camera. Great. All right. Next is kindly be on mute unless you are speaking. You are all smart people. You know that if you are not on mute, you end up disturbing yourselves as well as others, including myself in this session, right? Then please avoid unnecessary scribble on the screen or unnecessary unsavory comments in the chat box. This session is meant, for you, right? If at any point of time you lose connect with the session, feel free to drop out. Although that won't happen, trust me, it's going to be super enriching, super informative. But just in case that happens, please do not disturb others. Just for fun for yourselves, you are free to drop, right? Although I've disabled annotation, so you won't be able to annotate. But just in case something happens, some tech glitches happens, please do not do that. Lastly, as always with all our sessions, we'll be providing enough time for Q&A at the end of the session. And you will make sure that we tackle most of the questions before we wrap up the session. Okay. With that, let's get started. Many of you would already be aware of Rebounce, know about us. I'm sure, pretty confident. But just in case, those of you who are not aware who we are, what do we do, this is what our mission is. We are Rebounce. Our mission is to empower the youth of the country, youth of India, to build successful and fulfilling careers through genuine advice, expert guidance, skill development, and mentorship. We are two people. My name is Akshat. I'm a senior public policy advisor, your host for today, and an alumnus of Delhi School of Economics. Jigyasu, not sure if Jigyasu is there in this session, but Jigyasu is a political strategist and an alumni of NIT Patna. We are two people, co-founders, and running Rebounds for the last 3 years now. This is Jigyasu journey. I won't dwell into it in a lot of detail. I'm sure many of you know it, many of you are aware of it. All said and done, Jigyasu is a UPSC aspirant, engineer with extensive experience on the political consulting side of things before going on to founding Rebounce. This is me, my journey, your host for today. Like I was saying in the previous slide, I consider myself as an economist. I hold a master's degree in economics from Delhi School. I worked at multiple places, primarily at the intersection of public policy and evidence-based policy making. Some of the big names I'm like super proud of to be associated with is Pratham Education Foundation and PricewaterhouseCoopers. Before I also went on to be a part of Rebounce. This is more about me. I'm sure there are many, many people who already know me, know my credentials, but just in case you are here for the first time in this session, do not know more about me, this is what it is. Like I was saying, I'm an economist, but more than that, I'm a public policy practitioner, leader, speaker, and teacher. Policy practitioner, leader, speaker for the last 12 years, and teacher for the last 2.5, 3 years. That's my newfound passion now. I have more than 12 years of experience, extensive experience in public policy, both in consulting as well as non-consulting roles, in for-profits as well as non-profits. Some of my areas of interest and expertise are already listed on the slide. I won't go over there in detail. All I want to talk about is in terms of exposure, I have had the chance of having a lot of exposure with diverse set of clients, including governments, multilaterals, non-governments, foreign, governments, of course, in the developing countries or less developed countries like Zimbabwe, Bangladesh, Nepal. I've worked, supported various clients in these countries for various roles in the public policy space. Right. When it comes to multilaterals, I've delivered many projects for World Bank, ADB, United Nations, FCDO, GIZ, and various other organizations. Okay. So when I say something today, when I speak something today, I'm speaking with experience, with credibility, with knowledge of not just myself in my career, but also helping people in the last 2.5 to 3 years. Okay, this is our website. Those of you who are here for the first time, do not know about us. We are Rebounce Careers. www.rebouncecareers.com is our website. We are also present in almost all social media channels. Telegram, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn. We share a lot of content, important one, along with a lot of important roles and insights. If you are not associated with us as of now, kindly please do that. At the end of the day, it will help you. Because that is our vision, that is our mission, and all the content is aligned to that, paid or unpaid. Okay. Like I was saying, there are many people who we have helped in the past to sort of crack many fellowships, including lab. These are fellowships where our alumni are currently working. We are a part of, and we are super proud, especially myself, to help them land roles in these fellowships. CMGGA is a more recent one, one of our alumni. There can be more. One I am definitely sure about, who has landed a role with as a associate with CMGGA, and I'm super proud to have helped her in a journey to get into it. We have many people, not just one, working with Inclusive Minds, Nehru Fellowship, and Mukherjee Fellowship. Another very proud achievement, I consider it, I'm super proud about it, along with CMGGA, is Janagra. Janagra is a very, very prestigious fellowship, especially for women in the public finance space. And there are a couple of individuals who I helped land into Janagra. It's into public finance, another very niche area within public policy. Okay. Then, of course, LAM Fellowship, like I said, for the past 2 years, we have been helping people get into LAM Fellowship. Banyan Impact Fellowship is another fellowship where the applications, I guess, are currently on. So along with LAM, you can also consider applying over there. Then another important fellowship where we have had a couple of individuals land with roles and we have played an integral role in their journey is Punjab Good Governance Fellowship. Again, super proud about the fact that, we could help people land with this prestigious fellowship. Cool. So let's start with LAMP now, jumping into the meat of discussion. Let's just set the context right. I'm sure all of you are aware of it, but just for context purposes, let's talk about what is LAMP Fellowship, right? What are we talking about here? What is it that LAMP offers. It is legislative assistance to members of parliament. I got my acronym right in the first slide. So good to know that. It's a unique and exciting opportunity for young Indians to learn lawmaking and public policy, right? Both lawmaking, public policy. Fellows are mentored by members of parliament. You work full time, guys. It is not a part time role, full time. Okay. The keyword is full time, and they also emphatically mention it on their website that it is full time. You are assigned to an MP at the start of monsoon session, maybe sometime in June, and you continue with them till the end of budget session. And what do? Extensive research support for parliamentary work. This is the bottom line. It might include various things, things like drafting parliamentary questions, preparing speeches, 0 hour debates, private members' bill, researching for matters of public importance, etc., etc. But all said and done, extensive research support, practical research support for parliamentary work. That is the biggest work or contribution which is expected out of a LAMP fellow. As I always say, when I talk about public policy, government is the face. The brains are people who are working with the government in adjunct or associated roles. They might be for profits, not for profits, or fellows or young professionals. Same here. Like in public policy, government is the face. The brains are many, including a lot of people in non-profits, for profits, research, consulting, etc., etc. Same here. MP is the face. But behind the scenes, LAM fellows, along with various other people, play a very critical role. And because it is about extensive research support for parliamentary work, during parliamentary sessions, LAM fellows are the busiest. Okay? When not in session, when the parliament is not in session, which happens a lot of times, LAM fellows engage with policy makers, experts from various think tanks, academicians, in terms of various, workshops, researching and debating on development issues. Hence, it helps over a period of, let's say, 11 months to help you learn lawmaking as well as policy making, right? This part of the fellowship is optional. It totally depends upon how your relationship works with your MP, who you are assigned to. They might ask you to make field visits. They might not ask you to make field visits. But what LAMP says is, or what PRS Legislative Research says is, primarily, it's a role based out of Delhi. Not a lot of importance is provided in terms of travel. Primarily, it is a role based out of Delhi, but if your and MP's understanding works out, you might be required to participate in constituency level field visits. But there might be field visits facilitated by LAB or PRS Legislative Research. Another important point to note is it's not about MPs in power. It's also about MPs in opposition. Right? So, fellowship is policy first and not politics first. It is less about politics, more about policy. You might be assigned to an MP whose government is in power, or you might be assigned to an MP who sits in opposition. As you know, in India, in a parliamentary democracy, both people in power and people in opposition play equal and relevant role, important role, right? Hence, you might be assigned to any of the MP. That choice usually is not there. You can't say that you want to be working with XYZ. No. They might do that as assignment at the back end. Of course, certain considerations might be taken into care based on your background, what you do, but we really don't know. That is not something which is out in the open. What we have seen in the past is there might be certain, proactive assignments happening, but that's about it. You don't have any control over that. Okay. Some other details for people, who are new and are not aware of it. You don't need a master's degree. You only need a bachelor's degree. They do not specify what area or academic area your bachelor's needs to be in. It needs to be a bachelor's. It can be from open school also. That is not the criteria. They absolutely do not give any preference to masters. This we have seen also, and they also write. Now people ask this question, I am in the middle of my final year, can I apply? I will be completing before the fellowship starts. The answer is no, you cannot. As simple as that. The criteria is you have to complete your bachelor's. Next criteria is you have to be of age 25 years or less. Now there are various, ifs and buts here also that, I'm 25.1, I'm 25.001, I'm 25.2, I'm 25.3. It doesn't matter. If you are born on or after 1st June 2000, you can apply. There are no ifs and buts here. On or after. If you are born, let's say 30th of May 2000, you cannot. There is no flexibility here. Criteria is very crystal clear. Please don't spend a lot of time arguing or brainstorming around it. Work experience, again, may be good to have, but it's not essential. You won't be discriminated against, plain and simple. Howsoever they write in their applications or whatever. Stipend is also very clear. It is not compensation, actually, it is stipend. Stipend is 23,000 per month. It might sound like really low, but trust me, this is what I say in all of my, sessions. The experience which you get, the exposure which you get carries much, much more value than the stipend which I have on the screen. And one thing which I always say in my in my webinars is, guys, please be on mute. I don't think it's really difficult to manage being on mute. And you also interrupt my flow, guys, right? So let's just try and adhere to it. Please be on mute. As I said, there will be enough options for Q&A at the end of the session. Just hear me out first. Okay, so like I was saying, and this is what I say in all my webinars and other places, at the start of your career, you have to pay weightage or importance to learnings and exposure, not to money. Those learnings and exposure compound over a period of time and compound exponentially. And LAM fellowship is a very good opportunity for that. The pay might be low, INR 23,000 per month. You might think, okay, how would I sustain myself in Delhi, this and that, because the work is in Delhi, accommodation is not provided, everything you have to manage on your own. But trust me, those 11 months will give you such a solid platform that, from 23, you can make it, 5x, 6x, 7x in real quick time. So you should not worry about it. Duration, like I was saying, it is 10 to 11 months from the middle of June. MPs, again, these are exactly same words on their website, will be from both treasury and opposition across major parties in both houses of parliament. Allocation will be done on random basis. Of course, it's not always like random, but that is what they say. Deadline is 21st December. Today we are on 17th, so not a lot of time left. After this session, kindly close your applications ASAP. Those who are already enrolled with us, kindly share your SOP, essay ASAP for review. Many I have already done. Those still left, you are still thinking, writing essay after the session, go back, write your essay, share quickly so that I can review, provide my feedback. For many, I've already done that. For those who are still in the process, kindly do it. Okay. Now, the question is, why is the fellowship such a unique opportunity? Various reasons. Few of those I've already covered, right? One, the work involved. When Parliament is in session, you are doing research support to MPs, in various bills, questions, policy discussions, standing committee meetings, or private members' bill. This is optional constituency related work. It's not mandatory. Very few people have to do it, not all. Maybe media related, preparing press briefings, preparing pointers for, TV appearances and stuff like that. When Parliament is not in session, then also you are working. You might be researching for standing committees, preparation for the next Parliament session, workshops on issues like health, finance, foreign affairs, etc. It totally depends upon, the member of Parliament you are working with. All in all, it is a very diverse and very impactful work. There are no two ways about it, right? Second is learning opportunities and other benefits. What are these? LAMP engages you in 1 month of intensive training. Then a very strong alumni network. LAMP has a very, very strong alumni network. Trust me, it's an old fellowship. I was going through their website, and I think somewhere around 2010 or 11 is when this initiative got started. And they have their alumni working at a lot of prestigious places. So you can tap into that network if you are a LAMP fellow. And like I've written on this slide, LAMP fellows are almost everywhere in public policy. You get an opportunity to create impact at scale. Or you learn those tools and techniques which you can be used in future to create impact at scale. Having access to MP on the tab, access to MP is also a big thing, right? It gives you a sneak peek into how policy making actually happens in the chambers of parliament, which is like the temple of democracy. You all know that. And lastly, which I also emphasized on in one of my previous slides, there are excellent and unique exit opportunities. You can compound your experience you got from lab. You can proudly put it as a badge on your CV, proudly talk about it during interviews. And this can lead you to, extending your support, your stay, your work with MPs, ministers for political parties. You can go on to work in, public policy organizations like research, advocacy, formulation, implementation. There are many LAM fellows which are associated with, multilateral institutions, or you can also go on to work with, impact consulting roles. In fact, political parties also value this experience. If you are interested on the political consulting side of things, that also opens up a lot of opportunities. Many LAM fellows also manage to get into prestigious institutions for their higher studies. So all said and done, the money is less, the exposure is really high. It overcompensates for the money. It's a great launchpad to your career, especially in public policy or political consulting for that matter. Okay. Now the context is clear. We know what LAMP is. We know what is the selection criteria. We know why the fellowship is unique. Let's talk about the selection process. It is a three-step process. Many of you would already know since you have come in here for the LAMP fellowship. Okay. Yeah. Preliminary screening, which has two parts. The applications are already on SOP, essay on a policy issue. Then there will be an online evaluation test and then a personal interview, right? 3 stages, 3-stage selection process. They might change a bit this year, but this presentation is based on what happened last year. One is preliminary screening. What is preliminary screening? First is SOP. In 500 words, you have to justify your candidature. This should include, how the LAM fellowship fits into your career goals or prospects and why you would be a good fit. That is typically what is expected out of a statement of purpose, right? Second is preparing a write-up, a policy essay in 500 words, analyzing a policy or issue of importance. Let's get into these one by one, and I will talk about certain do's and don'ts. Okay. First is SOP. SOP is like the CV put in words. SOP is about understanding the fit in your own words. So you have flexibility there, right? And SOP is where maximum rejections happen at the preliminary stage. If you do not do a good job at SOP, your essay won't be read. Because SOP will say, are you clear why you want to go for a LAM fellow? Why you want to be a LAM fellow? Or why you want to go for a LAM fellowship? If in short, concise, logical manner, you are able to put this why part in an SOP well, attract the attention of the reader, your preliminary stage would be done. Of course, essay will also be read, but it would enhance your chances by 50 or 60%. Because this is the most important and critical part, which is why, or the fit part of it. That is why an SOP is asked. You should be first clear in your mind, the fit, the why part of it, then only you can put that down on a piece of paper. If you are not clear in your mind, you won't be able to put it down on a piece of paper. Right? Cool. So what is a typical format to prepare a SOP? This is one question which people ask us all the times. Okay, an SOP is to be prepared. How do I go about preparing one? Now, this is just one format or one thing. You are free to use it as per your own, needs. If you are like really blank, just do not have any idea how an SOP is prepared, this is how you should format it or structure it. One, start with a strong hook. This is where the make or break of an SOP happens. And in all the SOPs I review, very, very few people are able to do justice to it. Start with a hook, strong hook, or a hook word or a hook sentence. You need a compelling opening statement that compares your motivation for applying to the LAM fellowship and your passion for public policy. And it has to be realistic, not idealistic, which I talk about in my next slide also. And you should be able to finish it, the hook or the start or the intro part, in 50 to 60 words. Then next, 150 to 200 words should be focused on why LAMP is a natural choice for you, alignment with your career goals. Highlight whatever you have got, experience, skill, exposure, knowledge, and how that is aligned with the goals of the fellowship, how that fits into your long-term career aspirations. The important point is fit, right? Then again, you go into details of it, you talk about what actions, it is so this is about why. This is about credible things which you have done in the past, which would make a reader understand that you are fit for this role, right? This is nothing but actions taken in the past which align with the fellowship. You have to reflect with credible signals that you are passionate about public policy. It might be via projects, volunteerships, studies, whatever. Highlight skills, experiences, traits that make you a strong candidate. Mention academic qualifications, feel free to do that, work experience, extracurricular achievement, etc., etc. Focus on analytical research, writing, and interpersonal skills because this is what the LAMP is looking for. And lastly, 50 to 70 words, conclusion, where you will reiterate your enthusiasm for the fellowship and your commitment to making a meaningful contribution. This structure would allow you to logically structure your thoughts and write it down. Now, this doesn't mean that if we say 150 to 200 words, you have to stick to 200, cannot be 210, 220, or cannot be 180, they can be. Same for others, but just follow the basic intuitive structure and you'll be able to do well when it comes to SOP. Okay? If you're like really blank, if you know how SOPs are to be written, then you can play around with this structure also a bit, but all said and done, all these elements should be there. Okay? This is the format of a typical SOP. Yes, for LAMP it is relevant, but for others also format remains the same. Introduce with a good hook statement, then alignment with career goals, why you are a good fit, and conclusions. Few things to keep in mind which I have read in multiple SOPs already, last year also, last to last year also. Do not say that you are preparing for UPSC. You might say that you are prepared in the past. Do not say that you are also preparing right now, even if you are preparing for one. The moment you say that, you are out. Do not say that you are engaged or you are into some open school, open school degree program. The moment you say that, you are out, despite you being in one. I'm being very practical and honest here. Third thing, be realistic. Do not be idealistic. Do not just cook up idealism aligned stories and have that as part of your SOP. Those won't help. You have to be mature, put in things which sound realistic on your SOP. Fourth thing to understand, please, is it's not a one-time thing. SOP comes out well when you iterate over it. Write one today, read yourself or get it reviewed by someone else, take feedback, write again. Keep doing it again and again until you achieve a final version, which is absolutely brilliant to go. Always put yourself in the shoes of, the other employer, or this time the PRS people. Think about, if they read your SOP, what would be their takeaways? Would they be interested in talking to you in person? If the answer is yes, you will be through. If you are right, very generic thing, the XYZ, then you won't be through. Also think about it like this. How many people apply for LAM? I really don't have a number, but let's say 10,000. How many get final shortlisted? Maybe 50, 55, 60, right? Last year, I think it was around 54, 55. Now, unless you are able to stand yourself, you are able to, make yourself stand out of the crowd, you won't be. All of these considerations will guide you in terms of writing a good SOP. You have to loudly say via your SOP and essay that you are not similar to the crowd. Okay? How does that happen? Most fundamental thing in anything you write, SOP or essay, is story. When I am reading something, I like reading a story, right? We are humans at the end of the day. We have been reading, liking stories for millions of years. And that is what it should be for an essay or SOP also. Story doesn't mean stories about fantasy characters. Story just mean logical writing, coherent writing, consistent writing from top to bottom. And I will talk more about it in my subsequent slides, so don't worry. But all said and done, it is important to know story is what sells. Give personal touch instead of making it a substitute for CV. Be realistic, not idealistic. I've already spoken about it. Don't just tell, show, provide specific examples to back your claims. Show genuine enthusiasm, please, not unrealistic enthusiasm. Use words and phrases strategically. Incorporate terms like legislative process, policy making, research, governance, impact, public service, etc., etc. Proofread. I've already said, if there are grammatical errors, grammatical issues, you won't be hired. Focus on clarity and simplicity. Smooth liquid flow. Transition should be smooth. And please do not use, you can use, but not overuse ChatGPT. It is your SOP, not artificial intelligence's SOP. Okay? And this is one statistic which I want to quote. More than 80% of rejections happen due to weak SOP, not lack of credentials. Okay? So, as part of application process, two things are needed. One is SOP, which we have talked about enough. Second is essay, right? Where you have to analyze any issue and the related policy implications in 500 words. Right? This is as part of screening. So things to keep in mind while preparing an essay, along with what I talked about during SOP, right? Those best practices for SOP also apply to essay. Along with that, organize your thoughts clearly, structure your writing logically with clear beginning, middle, and end. Demonstrate analytical skills. You might use data, evidence, examples, etc., etc. Maintain smooth flow. Ensure that ideas and sections transition naturally for easy readability. Showcase critical thinking. Analyze the topic in depth and present thoughtful conclusions. And lastly, keep it simple and concise. Prioritize clarity and avoid unnecessary complexity. These are generic keywords. Now, there is one formula which I will be presenting now to write well. One formula which, if you start using, all your writings will read well. And this is formula I present in my course on public policy, which I am doing it over here. Along with these things, which is the inverted pyramid structure, IPS. This is not Indian Police Service. This is inverted pyramid structure. I talk about this all the times in my sessions for public policy. I follow this all the times, both as part of my thinking, as part of my actions, and as part of what I write. This is the inverted pyramid structure. If you start following it, all your writings will be sorted, no matter what you write. SOP, essay, policy brief, report, anything. The inverted pyramid structure says front load your communication with the most important information at the top. Then comes the next information, and then comes the least important information. Always structure your thoughts like this. A lot of times I see people structure their thoughts in a chronological manner. No. Thoughts always have to be structured in a impactful manner. Most impactful first, then the next one, then the next one. And that is how you should also be writing. Most impactful things first, then the the less impactful, then further less impactful in a decreasing impact, order of decreasing impact. And it holds everywhere. It holds for any paragraph which you write. It holds for multiple paragraphs which you write within a header. It holds for multiple headers also. The most important header should come at the top, then the second most important, then the third most important, so on and so forth. Within one header, the most important topic should come at the top, then the second most important, then the third most important, so on and so forth. If you organize your entire write-up like this, it will automatically start reading well. Okay, I hope this makes sense. Especially relevant for LAMP essay. The essay is just 500 words, but this should be the thing. I won't go into origination, use of style, this and that. I guess I have managed to communicate my idea. How does it help? Let me talk about this. Helps you organize your content, focus on key message, and adjust to the needs and interests of the audience. Grabs the audience attention from the start by clearly stating your main idea. Also depicts your credibility, right? Only when you are authority on a topic, you would be able to determine what is important and what is not. And it also reduces the risk of losing interest or confusing your reader. So always follow this, guys. This is the gold standard when it comes to any communication, be it spoken or written. This also holds for example, interviews, right? A lot of times people ask, introduce yourself. And when I take mock interviews, people start with, okay, I was born 20 years back in so-and-so village and so-and-so district, right? That doesn't help. You have to start with the most impactful stuff first. By the time you finish or you come to college, I say, okay, that's enough. Let's move on to another topic. That shouldn't happen, right? You have to start with the most impactful stuff. Same goes for when you write. This is the basic principle of communication. Okay, cool. Then people ask us a lot of times, okay, guys, how do I choose the topic? What do I do? I have multiple topics in mind. How do I choose one? Or I don't have any topic in mind. You suggest me one topic. So, of course, the topic choice has to be yours, but they can follow certain guidelines based on our experience and our understanding of the stakeholders. Few things here. We can only provide guidance. Choice is yours. But we are hopeful this guidance will help you making a choice better or making a better choice. One is domain expertise. Reflect your understanding and enthusiasm for the issue. Relevance. Relevant to the present days. You should not pick a topic which was relevant 50 years back and not now. Government initiative alignment. If you think about it, if you're working for an MP, you should display that your choice of topic is aligned to the priorities of the government or opposition or priorities of the day. Analytical potential. You should have enough scope for analytical exposition in the topic. Always try and choose specific over general topics. And this is what I have observed in the past. Specifically, diversity is always valued. Because, like I said, you have to stand out. You have to be 50 amongst 10,000. So one of the ways to stand out is be diverse, where not a lot of people have capability, interest, and scope to explore those things or those topics. Again, these are just some, but the canvas is open. You can talk about, for example, nuclear science and technology, semiconductors, ethical AI, cybersecurity, whatever, right? These are just few random thoughts. But such topics help you stand out from the crowd. Crowd might speak about education, health all the times, or poverty, or etc. etc. Maybe financial inclusion, livelihoods. So think about numbers and law of large numbers. These are very basic topics many people will pick. If you manage to pick a specific one, that will evince the interest of the reader. Who knows, you might be supporting an MP who is part of a parliamentary standing committee dealing with semiconductors or ethical AI, right? Always possible. Government works on all the topics all the times, right? Both generic as well as niche. So if you display your potential, you'll be, because you are different from the crowd. But that doesn't mean all of you should be picking up diverse topics. If only when you have strength, you should pick up. You should not fear. That is my only reason of highlighting this. If you think you have strength in any of these diverse topics, do not think that you have to be picking up generic topics or general topics, to topics with all people talk about all the times. No. Be confident about your strength and play around those. But also don't do the opposite. If you're not comfortable with these type of topics, do not pick them, guys. They might also backfire. Okay. Now, people ask, okay, what resources should we pick? What do we do around it? So there are many these days. I don't have to specify it, but few things which you can refer to is PRS website, newspaper, other government websites. These are the authorities when it comes to all things related to policies, laws, and regulations. Okay, cool. Now, what is the essay format? Basic fundamentals I've already covered as part of SOP, as part of IPS, inverted pyramid structure. Beyond that, if there is a format which we have to specify, it will only include three things: introduction, main body, conclusion. Introduction should be about context, current status, journey so far, importance, key features, whatever your topic you have picked. Main body can be about implications. You can take a pastel approach or you can take any other approach. It might help you in terms of structuring your thought. So pastel approach is political, environment, social, technology, environment. Why do we have environment here two times? I really don't know, but you can Google pastel. Okay. Then conclusion is about policy recommendations, modifications in current policy, etc., etc. Use persuasive language, but all said and done, another thing which you have to be careful in your essay is it should not be about content which is already existing and you are just summarizing that. For example, I've seen a lot of essays where people pick up one topic, I don't know, maybe one nation, one election, and half of the essay will be about provisions of one nation, one election. Those provisions are already known. What will you achieve by having those as part of your essay? If along with the provisions you talk about implications, then it makes sense, right? Again, same analogy, 50 versus 10,000. Out of 10,000, 5,000 will only talk about the the clauses and points in a particular law, framework, policy. Many of you are UPSC aspirants, because you are trained to write UPSC essays, you will talk about the same thing. But that won't help you here. Here you have to go one step ahead. Because those laws, etc., everyone knows, right? There is nothing unique about it. The better would be maybe approach it as a newspaper editorial in 500 words. That will help you. Along with other things which I talked about, focus on this. Always ask yourself, would this help you stand out in a crowd of 10,000? And it will take effort, no doubt about it. But all of that effort is worth it, trust me. Does that make sense? Now, resources again, along with PRS, NITI, ministry websites, you can refer to think tanks. Like, always refer to the authoritative agencies related to your topic. They might be think tanks, non-profits, refer to multilateral agencies. What are they talking about? Supreme Court judgments, etc., etc. But always have one thing in mind. They should be an authoritative agency. Whatever content or literature you refer to, you read, it should come from an authoritative agency. It should not come from a WhatsApp forward or from websites with unknown credibility. There are many these days. One of the examples might be knowyourindia.com or similar other things, right? Please don't refer to all of that. The content is crap. Okay, cool. Things to avoid. Before that, one more thing. Shyam, sorry, all questions at the end, not at the moment. One more thing over here, please use references liberally. Very important. That shows credibility of your points, credibility of your research. Now, don't come and say that, look, after I include references, I'm exceeding 500 words. 500 means 500. Okay, cool. Things to avoid. Plagiarism, overquoting. Never do that. These days, there are tools to know that you have plagiarized or you have used AI, BICI or you have used overquoting. A tool will say that. But it's not a human endeavor any longer. We'll just put in everything in a tool. That tool will say percentage of plagiarism, percentage of use of AI, etc., etc. Always write in a clear clarity. Always write with clarity. Do not use vague or uninformed sentences. Stick to guidelines always. Avoid grammatical mistakes. Do not repeat things. If you have talked about one thing in one paragraph, do not repeat it in the next paragraph. Right? Overall, like I was saying in my previous slides, what I as an individual would like to read, and same for anyone else who is evaluating it, is a crisp written essay, logically flowing from top to bottom, with each paragraph, a small one, dealing with only one idea or topic. Every single paragraph should be arranged in the IPS manner. The overall write-up should be arranged in the IPS manner. And another thing, if you are like really into it, every paragraph should start with a topic sentence. Topic sentence is essentially that sentence which conveys what is there in the paragraph. That will ensure excellent flow of your write-up. And these are guidelines not just relevant for this screening round, but also for the next round, which is online evaluation test. Because online evaluation test, as it happened last time, was 2 essays in a timed manner. So earlier was untimed. You have all the time, in the world to come up with a good essay and SOP. Here it will be a timed one because this is what you do on the job. If there is a parliament session tomorrow, something an MP has requested you to do, you will have only limited time to deliver that. You won't have all the times in the world. So you will invariably be acting in a time constrained manner. Understood? And that is what they check for in the online evaluation test. What they did last year was they gave 2 topics, limited time. It's an open book thing. You research and then you write. But the reason is this, which I've just talked about. This is exactly the skill they are looking for. They're not looking for out and out researchers who spend their lifetimes researching about one topic. No. Not saying that it is bad, but that's not the ask of the fellowship. The ask of the fellowship is, in a time-bound manner, how good a job can you do, both in terms of reading as well as writing. Hence, there is a timed online evaluation test. Okay. So it's an open book test. It is not just about knowledge, but about the ability to utilize existing knowledge and information. Expected to analyze, articulate side opinions on policy issues. It tests critical thinking, analytical thinking, most importantly, writing under pressure, using content on the go. Usually 2 hours. Now I don't remember how it was last time. All I know is last time they had given two essays in a time bound manner. Those had to be written. The most important challenge which I've seen people facing over here is dividing their time across research and writing. Invariably, what I've seen is if you have got 30 minutes, you spend 20 minutes in researching and 10 minutes in writing, which is a recipe for disaster. And trust me, when it comes to time bound writing, the quality of research is only 40% important. 60% is quality of writing. Because it is time bound, so even if you spend 60% of the time researching, you won't be able to do good justice to it. And the lab guys, including the MPs, can themselves provide you sources. So it can be 50-50, that's fine. It should never be 60-40, 60 researching, 40 writing. It can be 40-60, 40 researching, 60 writing. Because premium is placed on writing well. And that's a mistake I've seen many people do. They will say that, look, sir, हमको time कम नहीं मिला, कम मिला, और यह हमारा मतलब रिसर्च में ही सारा टाइम निकल गया, लिख तो हम पाए. And not just here, anytime some time bound activity comes in, this is the mistake which many people do. So please avoid that. Be very, very conscious about it. Be brutal about it. You just have to spend 40 to 50% of the time, allocated time in researching, not more than that. Just full stop, start writing. Make sense? If you do this and follow all the guidelines which I've already talked about as part of screening essay writing, your second round will be sorted. And what I've seen in my experience, although they do not claim it openly, 100% I'm not confident, but what I've seen is um, screening also plays a role in the final selection for interview. There is no data to sort of comprehend it. I haven't sort of, talked to any LAMP fellow, but that's just my understanding of it. If they mark certain kind of profiles in screening itself that those are interesting profiles, they will pay more attention to those profiles as part of the evaluation test. Again, just my understanding of it based on previous experiences of helping people and seeing out how selections happen. Then last is personal interview. Personal interview is like any other interview where you are in and you are asked certain questions and you have to answer those well. With respect to personal interview, there are certain things which any employer look for. So is LAMP. One is passion and motivation, right? The way you speak, the way you talk, it should come out of that you are passionate about it, you are motivated about it. Then comes the technical skills part of it. Not a lot, but some fundamental basic knowledge, experience, skills are needed. Then critical thinking, problem solving. They might be tested via various, situations and things like that. Teamwork, collaboration, and finally professionalism or work ethic. All of this combines into just three things: policy, attitude, intent. If you have basic policy knowledge, you have the right attitude, you have the right intent, irrespective of experience, irrespective of academic background, you will be taken in for the fellowship. Right? Ultimately, the gold standard of any interview is separate the signal from the noise. Give strong signals and give less of noise. What are these strong signals? Thinking, ability, awareness, etc. etc. Red flags, vague answers, not very clear about why you want to go for it, etc. etc. Not very clear about parliamentary work, etc. etc. If your interview is more about signal, less about noise, you will be hired. And how do they check or test for it? Couple of things. It is already 60 minutes. I won't go into too much details, although I have some slides, but just will quickly cover. First is behavioral questions. The fit part of it should be clear, right? Fit parts always, any interview starts with introduction. Then it comes to strengths, weakness, career aspirations, achievements, setbacks, alignment with the role. Your story should be very clear. Here also story comes back. Story should be very clear. Story in the sense that what you have done in the past, what you're currently doing, what you want to do next, everything should be aligned with the role. At least it should come out in the way you speak. If it doesn't come out, you sound confused, in dilemma, this and that, you won't be. This is the most important part. Story should be clear. Even if it is a made up story. Okay? Now, I won't go into these slides. These are like really content heavy, but that story comes out via various things. Along with the thing which I've said over here, people can focus on your professional experience if you have any skills and abilities, education qualifications, accomplishments and achievements, projects and certifications, positions or responsibility. Then comes they can ask certain behavioral questions or situation-based questions, right? If you would have been in this situation, what would you do? Have you faced this situation before, etc., etc. These type of questions should typically be approached in a framework. These framework we call as STAR framework. Situation, task, action, result. Right? First talk about situation, then talk about task, talk about action, and then talk about result. If you follow this framework, you will be able to tackle almost all behavioral questions. Okay? Spend less on situation, spend less time on situation and task, more time on action and results. Okay? Then there can be certain policy related questions, right? Maybe from your essay or just few ongoings, maybe something, from newspapers or ongoing policy debates or politics level debates, right? So to go through those before your interview. Lastly, the way to answer them is show understanding of the issue, show some policy insight, show some critical thinking, and then provide some stakeholder perspective. If you keep these perspectives in mind, more often than not, you'll be able to tackle these questions well. At the end of the day, the bottom line is be aware and have your views around things going on in India and globally as well, where India is a stakeholder. So that you have fodder and content to talk about it. Okay? Then there might be academic questions around, parliamentary procedures, policy, politics, governance. Although in their website, they clearly say even if you do not have a law background, that's fine. They will train, but they might, just want to touch base on certain fundamental stuff. Who knows? So for those, be aware of these things, current affairs, parliamentary procedures, polity, constitutions, governance, etc., etc. Okay. Then lastly, because many of you here, I'm assuming, are UPSC aspirants, so they might relate back to your UPSC journey. Do you want to go for one more attempt? The answer is no. It's not yes. Never. Even if you want to go for one. It should always be an emphatic no, along with the story why. There might be questions around cultural challenges, this and that. So you should be always ready with story around why do you want to get out of UPSC? What you achieved in your journey, now why do you want to get out? Because the moment you say yes, you are out. Do not also say things like, yes, you will be going for the next prelims. Prelims would happen before the fellowship starts. So you will be done after the prelims. No. That is like being B. No means no. No from this point of time. In an interview, guys, again, another thing which I tell everyone who I interact with as part of the interview prep process in our program, interviewers are not about putting yourself like, telling your correct and truthful story all the times. Interviews is about picking up your story and contextualizing it to the job description or to the stakeholder. And trust me, no stakeholder also wants to hear the truthful story. They want to hear a story which is aligned with the job description or their requirements. It is also your test. How well do you understand the job description? Then only you can contextualize your story. Okay? Cool. Yeah. So there can be other, UPSC related questions around skills, learnings, why transition, this and that. We always ready for them, mentally especially. Okay. Now the question is, what if you do everything, then still you don't get into lab fellowship? It might happen, right? It happens with all the people. Not all, it happens with people, all the times. You do everything right, then also you don't get into LAM fellowship. Then what is the solution? There are many other policies, many other fellowships to make your career in public policy. Go for those. Never just aim for one thing, when it comes to work life. Beyond UPSC. UPSC is one thing which is fine. But if you want to get out of UPSC, spread across your, things which you want to get into. Spread across your options. Even if you do everything right, at the end of the day, it is competitive. Many people apply, only 50, 60 get through. And if you're really interested in getting into a fellowship and making an impact, there are multiple other options available. Or there are multiple other options available to make a career in public policy, not just via fellowships. Fellowships, yes, many, many prestigious other fellowships are there. Many people are not aware of it, which I will talk about in my subsequent slides. But in general, also beyond LAM fellowship, there are many opportunities to make a career in public policy. I talked about these in my public policy webinar. Many of you were there, so I won't repeat it. But all said and done, there are a lot of options, right? You can work with private sector, local institutions. You can work with multilaterals. You can work with other people. So you can work in various capacities, both with government, not for profit, and for profits, right? You can work with think tanks, industry associations, research associations, consulting, like I was part of, and many other roles are available. I won't go into details, but they are available. And all I can do is that I can, exhort you to sort of explore these. There are different types of roles, right? For example, fellowships we already talked about. Then there are young professional opportunities. There are PMUs, district level project roles. Then, within non-profits, there are research associates, program officer, M&E, advocacy, policy advisor. All of these are entry level, fairly good roles. There is absolutely no issues over there. Then you can get into consulting or you can get into, various other corporate roles. Entry level, if you apply, if you have the right skills, right knowledge, you would get through these roles and have a really beautiful and impactful career in public policy, no doubt about it. Beyond that, like I was saying, there are also fellowships which you can explore, right? Many, many I've listed down over here with a lot of details. LAMP, we have already talked about. There is Mukherjee Fellowship, Nehru Fellowship, Maharashtra CM Fellowship, Gandhi Fellowship, Teach for India, Prabodhini Fellowship, right? Requirements are fairly okay. Graduates with, certain age, certain commitment, certain times of the year they open up and they provide fairly decent stipend. But more than that, as with LAMP might be one of the lowest, but more than that, exposure and learnings are unparalleled, right? So yes, LAMP is there, LAMP is prestigious, no doubt about it, but there are other many, many opportunities available to make a mark in the public policy space. So do not always be Arjun and hit the bird's eye. No, it doesn't work like that in a corporate sector. You have to change, right, according to what you are aiming to get into. This is just one list. There is more to it, right? Kautilya Fellow, Haryana CMGGA, which I was talking about, Bihar CM Fellowship, Sardar Patel Good Governance, Punjab Good Governance, AIF Banyan, Aspirational District Fellows. Of course, these ones, some of them require experience, but others don't. If you have experience, meet the eligibility criteria, go for it. But there are enough without experience also, with unparalleled exposure. And trust me, these have come up in recent times and they're paying good money. I'm sure in future, both the money as well entry level requirements would be lax, the money would go up. right? So never be restricted to one. That's not how career works. Even today, if I apply to roles, I apply to 50 different places, despite being clear that these are my aspirational organizations to work with. Something like that. That should be your approach. Okay, makes sense? And in order to get into these fellowships or other roles which I talked about, fundamental skills, again repeating my slide which I covered in my webinar, is needed. These are fundamental, no matter what, you should know these. Even if for LAMP, these fundamental skills would help you. In general, for a career in public policy, LAMP is just 11 months, right? What about next? This is the foundation on top of which a career in public policy is built. Or political consulting also, for that matter. There are a lot of overlaps, right? Then there are certain good to have skills. Quantitative analysis, qualitative analysis, academic knowledge, data visualization. I tell this to everyone. Yeah, right. For example, people are reaching out to me these days. They say that, look, your course is kicking off on 10th. What do we do in the interim? I just tell them do two things primarily. Know where policy data is, know where good policy level content is. If you know this, 50% of the problem is sorted. These days in policy space, people have opinions. Opinions fly like this, more heavier than a rain. Via podcasts, YouTube, shorts. These days, it's Instagram. WhatsApp is old now. Instagram is the new thing. Very, very few people would have opinion or insights based on solid data and content. If you are one of those, you will have a good career in public policy. And that is where everything starts, and that is where we also focus on. When I say these skills are about that. And one more, yes. How to talk to 100 people and derive insights, useful insights, because it is public and policy. That is nothing but qualitative analysis. These are fundamental things, guys. If you don't know these, no question of having a career in public policy. Content, data, people. Foundations for a good career in public policy. Okay? And again, like I said, three foundations: content, data, people. On these three foundations are good to have skills also built. This is like going beyond basics. Then there are soft skills. I won't go into this. You already know it. No point dwelling into it in detail. But those are there on the screens for those of you who are interested. And lastly, related to these, soft skills, hard skills is what our programs also are, which is about supporting you in end-to-end in public policy political consulting with unique upskilling, mentorship, guidance, and placement programs. This is how our program structure looks like. We talk about it all the times in all our webinars. For those of you who are not aware, just a quick glimpse of it. Phase 1, 2 months intensive upskilling. Phase 2, guided projects or white paper, which is about signal. Remember, you have to signal, you have to separate signal from the noise. Phase 2 helps in that. And phase 3 about one-on-one guidance and mentorship, which is currently on for a lot of people who are applying for LAMP Fellowship. And this is what you can do no matter if you are preparing for UPSC or working anywhere or engaged in any other endeavor. 2 sessions per week for 2 hours. These are live. We provide placement support from day one, and we are all industry veterans and not academics. You have already seen my profile. I take public policy sessions. Okay. Yeah, these are some of the attributes which are offered in our sessions. You will be connected with us, co-founders, all the time, with access to one-on-one guidance and mentorship, live lectures with extensive Q&A, focus on industry-aligned projects, and also support on take-home tasks. For example, LAMP Fellowship, you have to write essay, SOP, etc., etc. We review that on a one-on-one basis. I've done it for many in the past. Is currently doing it for many. I'm sure many people are there in this session whose essays or SOPs I've already reviewed or would do it in future. And yes, most importantly, we also have tie-ups with almost all political companies and some top non-profits who would help in placements. Okay, so if you want to get into public policy, this is one way, not the only way, of course, but this is one way to get it rolling. Okay, cool. With that, I stop here and I open the floor for Q&A. I want you to be very specific in your Q&A so that we take less time. And B, the modality is you have to raise your hand. I will call out your name, then you unmute yourself and ask your question. Okay, before that, let me stop this recording.